All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I trust we're having a great day today. Good afternoon, Doris, Sadia, Agai. Good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone.
All right, so we're going to be starting our first class today, and our class was supposed to be taken by one of our tutors, that is Odong Author, but unfortunately he's not available. He's unavoidably detained today, and Mr. Leon is going to be stepping in to take that class for us. And what we're going to be looking at today is the introduction to the free market economics and principle. And uh, without any more this thing, I would allow Mr. Leon to take over from there. Good evening, Mr. Good afternoon, Mr. Leon. Sorry, can you patience? Patience, could you please mute yourself?
Maganda ka ba sa'yo?
All right, great. I was about to call Mr. Leon. He's here already. Mr. Leon.
Please reach out to Measure. I don't know. She's trying to call me.
Okay, yeah, she's trying to call you to join the meeting. Apparently, she's the one that hasn't joined.
It happens sometimes. Hi everyone. It's great to see your faces again. For those that were able to join the book review yesterday, thank you so very much. And for those that it came as a shock for all, so like a shock, not shock, as impromptu for, please watch out. There are other opportunities like that to broaden your horizon that we're going to be sharing. The corner principle. I am fully assured or know that you must have heard about it before one way or the other. And it is great that we're going to be talking about it today. But before we start, for those who know me, we try as much as possible. Ahmed, please reach out to Meshua. She kept calling me. I don't know why. Okay, so let's start with the quick icebreaker. For those of us that live, we are all living in Africa, so this actually goes along with everybody. We all have aunties, nieces, sometimes nephew that sells things on the market. Some sell clothes, some sell tomato, some sell pepper, and this goes all around. Please give me a minute. I need to stop people from speaking as they enter. A minute, please. Okay, all right. And people go in and they go down to the work to basically negotiate for the price of tomato, the price of pepper, and every other thing like that. And if you don't get a good deal, if you go to the market, thank you, Mary Joyce, for turning on your camera. Please, I can see your face today. Thank you very much. So let's say you go to the market and you try as much as possible to buy something. And okay, the person says, oh, this pepper costs $5 on, okay, Mary Joyce is in Uganda, so I'll be using Uganda shillings as my yardstick until someone has turn on their video where I can use another country. Oh, Kenya, I think we are not going to have the milk war between Kenya and and Uganda today, because now I'm seeing Kenya and Uganda turning on their camera. Anyways, you go to the market, you want to buy something, you price it. And after you price it, if the price does not work with you, what happens? You walk away. Oh, tomato is 15,000. Oh, sorry, I cannot take 15,000 Uganda shillings. I can only pay 4,000 Kenya shillings. I'm like, no, that is not working for me. You walk away. It is basically basic economics, where buyers and seller meets and run things. You see, there is one joke. Let me see if we can grab it. My friend's uncle negotiated so hard on the price of yam, he had to give himself a discount. Oh, Joyce, you're laughing. So this everyday bargaining is what we know as voluntary exchange. It is the core free market ideas. And that is why today we are going to explore how the market works, how price emerges, why property rights matter, and apart from that, we're going to talk about what critics often misunderstood. And apart from that, for those who knows me, we are going to have a mix of African humor within it at some point. When Kenya matatus, they negotiate fair, or when Uganda border, they're saying, I'm going to say 2,000 Kenya shillings. I say, no, I'm going with 1,500 Kenya, Uganda shillings. We're going to be walking about that today. But apart from that, the joking part of things, we're going to be talking about solid economics. And by the end of the 2-hour session that we're going to be having today, you should be able to explain the concepts like voluntary exchange, price signals, and property rights. And not just explaining them, you should be able to connect them to the fathers and the forethinkers of the free market system, like Adam Smith and John Locke and the others. And you should have also learned how to apply these ideas to your own economy. So we're going to try as much as possible to keep the jokes friendly. And also we are going to try as much as possible to keep the ideas flowing. First, let's talk about the core principles of a free market economy. What is the core principle of a free market economy? I mentioned that we're going to be talking about 3 things that you must have the meaning to: voluntary exchange, property rights, and price signals. The free market economy is built on these 3 ideas: voluntary exchange, property rights, and price signal. To a layman or to someone who is not familiar with these terminologies, it might sound like a big terms for now. But the truth of the matter is, they play out every day in our markets. Give me a minute, please. Sorry about that. I'm hearing some noise coming out from outside. Okay, so let's take, for example, when a vendor sells orange at, say, 50 Uganda shilling each, both the vendor and the buyer agreed to the deal because each of them thinks they are better off at what they get. Win-win. It's sold at 50 shillings. I have my 50 shillings, but I want the orange. And when I give the buyer, a seller, 50 shillings, I know I love what I got, and I know what I need to get. And I'm happy. The seller is happy with the 50 shillings I gave to him or her, and I'm happy with the orange I received. Win-win. But if either of them disagree with the price, like we mentioned, as our uncles, nephews, niece, aunties selling tomato or whatever at the market, if the price disagrees, the best thing you should do is basically just walk away. And that is what we mean by voluntary exchange. No one is forcing anyone to buy or to sell. So let's talk about the 5 principles, as it were, the 5 analogies, the 5 terminologies that can really characterize what we mean by the free market system or the free market principle, as it were. The first one of them is voluntary exchange. The second one is private property right. The third is price signal, which can also be called supply and demand. The fourth one is competition. And the last one is minimal central control. These 5 analogies, while we're going to touch each and every one of them one, basically explain the everyday discussion or playing out of the free market system. Let's take them one by one. But I would want to hear your opinion first. Can someone tell me what voluntary exchange means? I've explained it a bit, but Kimi, in your own word, what do you think voluntary exchange, what does it mean? Anybody? Please feel free to. Okay. Sadia. You can unmute, Sadia. Go ahead.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Okay, so from what I understand by voluntary exchange, it's a case where both the buyer and the seller agree or come to terms with what to buy, how much to buy, the quantity, and basically everyone is happy by the end of the purchase. I think something like that.
You are very correct. Thank you, Sadia.
All right.
The trade happens because both sides want it to happen. A farmer who wants to sell cassava will not release his cassava except he got a value for it. The value in this time around may be money, maybe another product. I think it was during yesterday's class, I can't remember, of one other class I've taken. I love to use the analogy of Gary. I don't know if all of us know what we call Gary. Gary and granite, or Gary and beans. If I need Gary and you have beans, I will take Gary from you. You want Gary, I have Gary. I want beans, you have beans. We will exchange. At the end of the day, we both have both Gary and beans. We are both happy. But what if it's a farmer who needs money to buy other things? A farmer produces work on cassava and now he has harvested it. He cannot eat everything alone. He wants to sell. He does not want what you have, but he knows that you have money. He gives you cassava and he says this cassava is going to go for 4,000 Uganda shillings. And you carry the cassava and give to the man or the woman, as it were, and they collect the money back from them. Everybody's happy. Like Sadia mentioned, win-win. Everybody's happy. That is voluntary exchange. That is one of the key principles of free market economy. The second thing that we're going to talk about is private property rights. And can someone tell me what they understand by private property rights? Private property right, please, let's respond. No, like I said on the first day where during the orientation, no wrong answer, no right answer here. It's just your opinion. Tell us. I don't want to start calling name. Okay, Mary, please. You can unmute now.
Okay, I think basically it's the right for me to own property, to be able to buy that property, but also own it.
Now, before you mute yourself back, let me ask a follow-up question.
Okay.
When that happens, what does it give you permission? What does it give you? What do you want to do when you know that nobody is going to take away your property away from you? What kind of confidence does that give you?
Okay, I would want to give a story. In Uganda, where I come from, basically, in my culture, women are not really, I wouldn't say allowed, but it's something that is abnormal for a woman to own property or even inherit property. So you find that there is that inability to access resources like land, to use them to develop yourself, but also to develop your family. So I think it would be a great feeling for a woman like me who comes from a culture like that to own property and be able to use it to develop my family and then eventually my community. So I don't know if I've answered you.
Yeah, that's close enough. You see, when there is private property rights, you know that your land, your means of production, and everything that you have, no one cannot come and take them away from you. It means that you can sell your goods or even sell your land as at when you feel like doing it. And you know that your ownership is backed by law. Just imagine if your farm or workshop could be seized by a local chief without cause. Would you want to invest in planting or building? Any sane person would not want to do that, because you know that once you do it, they can just come all of a sudden and take that away from you. Nobody will want to do it. So a secure property right not only creates a good and booming economy, it creates trust. And people will want people to keep exchanging because they know that they are backed by law. That is another big part of the free market system. The third one is price signal, or as it's often called, supply and demand. Prices are basically the loudspeaker of the market. When you come to the market, the first thing you ask is, how much is this? If you ask the first person and say, my own is 2,000 Kenya shillings, you go to the next person. Madam, can you sell your own for 1,800? If that one agrees, then something is telling you, if you go to the next person, you might actually get it for 1,750. And you will tell yourself, if I go a bit deeper into the market, maybe I can see it for 1,600. Price. When tomato, let's use tomato as an example. When tomato become very, very scarce because there was drought, what happened? The price goes up. Because now the supply is low and the demand is high. The price goes boom. But at some point, let's say the harvest of tomato now goes there's so much tomato in circulation. What happened to the price of tomato? The price of tomato falls. And it's only signaling to the farmer, go and look for something else to plant because tomato is going to be too much this year. You are not going to have any gain whatsoever. And that is what one of the scholars that we're going to be talking about today, Frederick Hayek, noted when he says that no single planner can know all local conditions. Prices let everyone share that knowledge. When the price of something falls, you know there is excess. So don't put your money in something that is excess at that point, because you are only going to lose. That is basically it. So we've talked about voluntary exchange. We've talked about private property rights. We've talked about signal. And now we're going to talk about competition. Can someone tell me their knowledge? What do they understand by competition and what it does to the economy? If I don't see any hand up, I'm going to call. I might have to call someone. Doris. Doris or Leila, please unmute and tell us, what do you understand by competition? Am I being heard? May not be saying I only me to talk to myself. Please, if I'm being heard, you can use the chat box and tell me yes. Am I being heard? Okay, Sadia can hear me. Nobody wants to tell me about competition. Nobody. Okay, Mary, please go ahead.
Okay. I think in a competitive environment, we have many businesses that are competing or individuals that are competing to offer goods and services or whatever they are offering. So in this case, the better good or the better service is what the consumer will go with. So I believe that is competition. It's up to the business owner to be innovative to offer a better good to the consumer.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Mary. When someone put their price very high, people shift away from them because there is another set of person selling their own very low or lower than what the other one is selling. I don't really know much of another country, but in Nigeria, I could remember when the telecom industry stepped into Nigeria in 2001, MTN was selling their SIM card for 35,000 Naira. eBuddy came, eBuddy was selling at the rate of, I think, 28,000 Naira. People moved from MTN and go to eBuddy. And that is how the thing get decentralized until we get to a point where SIM card became so free that every Tom, Dick, and Harry on the street now have a SIM card. Even me talking to you, I think I have about 4 of them because they're basically free. You get for 1,000 Naira, you still meet 1,000 Naira credit or 1,000 Naira unit on it. So it's basically free. But what makes this happen is basic competition in the market. If it's only MTN since 2001, maybe by now we will be buying SIM at the rate of 100,000 Naira or maybe 150,000, because someone who started at the rate of 35,000 doesn't have any plan of coming down. But because the competition is so strong, they don't have a choice than to reduce it. So now there are multiple vendors in town, and every one of them must improve their quality or lower their prices to survive. Currently in Nigeria, let me give another example of the telecoms. The internet situation in the country is getting really worse. And one network, MTN, improved their service to the extent that you hardly have a lag when you are streaming, but they increased their price. But the other ones kept their price the same way. Maybe they have a little bit of increase as well, but it's not as much as the other as MTN. But people still prefer to go to MTN because how will you say you are on 5G and your network cannot even stream Netflix? You can't even stream YouTube. People went back to the one that have a good service, even though it's expensive. Now, that is consumer's choice. And that takes us back to voluntary exchange that we talked about in the beginning. Nobody is forced to stay on MTN or to stay on Globalcom network or to stay on Airtel. You can choose which one fits what you need to do. But does that make the competition very fierce? Yes, because right now MTN is they're cashing out big time on the internet subscriptions, and the other network are trying as much as possible to also make sure that they have everything in check to come. Well, it's going to take them a while to reach what MTN is currently doing. Now, that is competition. Now, for the last one is the minimal central control. In a true free market system, decisions are completely decentralized. Millions of individuals, be it farmers, taxi drivers, shopkeepers, they decide what to do based on their knowledge. Not one bureaucrat somewhere telling them what to do. Adam Smith called this the invincible hand of the market that is guiding the market. And when everyone action is in self-interest, which leads to outcome like plentiful good that benefits the community. And this is without any single person planning it all. I think for those that were on the call yesterday, I made mention of Nollywood. Nollywood started from nothing. And we all know in Africa today, Nollywood is the number one, as it were. And it's number 2 in the world. After Hollywood, you have Nollywood and you have Bollywood. And there is nobody controlling it, except for recently that the Nigerian government is trying to now clamp down on them, asking them to start paying tax for whatever they create and or whatever they make and stuff like that. But at the beginning, it wasn't like that. You see, each of these 5 principles that we've talked about, they work together. Property rights on itself allows for exchange, while voluntary trade happens under agreed set of rules. Price coordinates everyone's plan, and competition drives innovation. It might seem a bit complex, but it is just the basic extension of our daily marketing struggle. But this time around, on a national scale, continental scale, or on a global scale. So if we have someone who is a market woman here, they will understand this concept so clearly because it's what they go through every day. They just have to now open their head and see how big it is. When we're talking about classical liberalism and libertarian thoughts, can someone define classical liberalism for us in the audience? I don't really like the way we were so quiet today. Classical liberalism, I need someone to define classical liberalism for us. What do you think classical liberalism is? Haggai, can you hear me? I think Haggai is from, is it Kenya? Please, are you sure you can hear me? Because I'm turning to radio gradually today.
Yes, we can hear you.
Can someone tell me what classical liberalism is? Classical liberalism. Nobody? No, this class is dull today. What happened, guys? Sadia, please. Thank you.
Hello.
Okay, Haggai, go ahead.
Hello.
We can hear you, Haggai.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I'm busy, so I'm multitasking. Okay, classical liberalism, from my own idea, I think it has to do with individual freedom. Again, free market. It's basically more about freedom, anyways. With personal autonomy and all of that. I don't know how to put words together to explain it expressively, but it's more like creating a society where there's individuals can pursue whatever they want to pursue with a favorable government policy I don't know if I'm in line with it. I don't know.
You are in the way. Sadia,
So
do you want to pick it up?
it will be more. I think individual freedom is more exciting when government has no interference. I think that's the best way to express it.
Thank you very much, Agai. Sadia, okay, I saw your hand up at
Thank you.
first. Do you want to chip in? You can mute yourself. Go ahead, Sadia. I think Sadia is having network issues. The words are not coming out. Okay.
Hello. Hello.
Okay, Masudi. Go ahead, Masudi.
That's cool. Liberalism is a political philosophy that emphasizes individual liberty, property rights, and limited government intervention in economic matters. It emerged in the 18th century, influenced by thinkers such as John Locke, Adam Smith, and Thomas Jefferson, who advocated for free markets, free trade, and civil liberties under the rule of law.
Thank you so very much. I can see people are already going on ChatGPT and Google. Adebayo Aziz.
Oh. Hello, sir.
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. To me, it's a political and economic idea that focus on personal freedom and limited government, like free to think, free to speak. That's just about that.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Sadia, let's come back to you.
Okay, so I don't know, is it the same as what's it called, that laissez-faire, where what am I trying to say? That economic system where there's limited government intervention. I'm not quite sure if it's the same or if there's like a difference. But yeah, that's the concept I'm assuming it's into.
Sure. Thank you very much, all of you, for chipping in. Please, when question is asked, chip in. Let's get to understand what we're talking about. You see, classical liberalism, as it were, is a philosophical tradition that emphasizes individual liberty and limited government. And it also advocates for property rights, unhampered market economy, and the rule of law. So someone that says it's a political and ideological, you're kind of right. Those that say it's individual liberty and limited government, you are kind of right, because it encompasses all. But the most important thing is the individual human rights, the private property rights, and the rule of law with limited government is the bedrock of the classical liberalism. And that is basically what libertarianism is based on, classical liberalism. You see, early thinkers, they saw that when people were free to trade and speak their mind, society flourished. And we can see it too today. Just look at your family or any family that you know. Any family that does not have kind of a direct communication with themselves always end up badly. There's an adage in where I grew up. They say, I know it sounds as if I'm speaking Mandarin right now. But what it means is someone who thinks alone. That kind of person is the kind of person that have sexual intercourse with his mother. Because if you wanted to do it and you talk to your friend and say, oh, my mommy is actually looking so beautiful, I'm thinking of doing this with my mommy, your sane friend will bring sense into your head and say, are you all right at all? So in a situation, let's now bring it to the bigger stage now. I mean, countries, continent, or the global scale. When people speak their mind, they get people to tell them, this is what you are saying is wrong, this is what you are saying is right. And also, early thinkers, they believed that central political task was protecting individual freedom, not controlling people's economic choice. And we're going to talk about like 5 of them today. We have John Locke, we have Adam Smith, we have John Stuart Mill, we have Frederick Hayek, and we have Milton Friedman. John Locke lived between 1632 and 1704, and he argues that the natural right to life, liberty, and property is a fundamental thing. And he also believes that the legitimate role of government is to safeguard those rights, nothing else. Right to life, right to liberty, and right to property. That is basically what the government should put their mouth into. And he also asserts that if the state becomes too powerful, it will violate the social contract and lose its legitimacy. Then Adam Smith, who lives between 1723 and 1790, which is famously called the father of economics, he wrote The Wealth of Nations. It's a book that maybe I will find a way to get an e-copy. I don't know if that book is available on e-copy, but I know where we could get an e-copy and share it with every one of us. It's a book that you should all read, The Wealth of Nations. He explained how individual self-interest in market can lead to social benefit via what we always call the invisible hand of the market. When, like a magician on scene, coordinate an action so the butchers can feed us, the bakers can feed us, and everyone profits. There is one video, maybe I will play it at the end of the class today. It's called I-Pencil. What I-Pencil basically explain is that there is no one person on earth today that can categorically say that they have what it takes by themselves to create a single pencil. It's a combination of effort, even though those people that come together to create the pencil does not even know themselves. From different continents, from different countries, from different backgrounds, come together to create all the material of pencil, and finally, it got put together in one location. We're going to watch the documentary. It's not that, I think it's like 3 minutes or thereabout by the end of the class. Then also we have John Stuart Mill, who lived between 1806 and 1873. He championed personal freedom and warned us against tyranny of the majority. You see, Mill believed that individuals should be free to do as they please unless they harm others. One of the foundations of his teaching is free speech and free market. Then in 1873, John Stuart Mill died. Few years after, in 1899, Frederick Hayek was born, and he lived till 1992. We can say he's the millennia economist. Or we can call him a modern classical liberal. He emphasized on the nature of knowledge, that no central planner can match the market efficiency. The market is too sophisticated than we saying there is one person somewhere that can do everything that the market is doing. He also warns that trying to control the economy too much will only lead to what he categorized as the road to serfdom. There is a book. I believe I can get that book from Atlas Network. We'll see if I can get that book downloaded. It's part of the book that we would love to share with you. It's called The Road to Serfdom. And another meaning of the road to serfdom is, in quote, authoritarianism. So he claims that if there is too much control, the only thing that we are going to see is authoritarianism. And the last one that we're going to talk about today is the closest thinker that we have, and that is Milton Friedman. He lived between 1912 and 2006. I believe many of us, to say we were connected with this ideology earlier, we might be able to see Milton Friedman in person. There are a lot of our mentors today that knew him in person, and they interacted with him, and they spoke a whole lot of things about him. Friedman argued that economic freedom is inseparable from political freedom. He said they are interwoven. And when he was talking or arguing, as it were, in his book, Capitalism and Freedom, let me say one thing at this point. For a liberal or for a libertarian, the number one priority is reading, because all these philosophies need a lot of explanations. And sometimes, folks, we have different definitions or different explanations from different thinkers. At the end of the day, they might come up to give you the same analogy, but something is always different. So reading a bunch is one of the things that will make you succeed as a free market fellow. He made it clear that the free market leads not just to prosperity, but to more personal liberty. And you know why I love Milton Friedman books so much? Because it teaches more of prosperity and personal freedom. And right now, in the continent that we find ourselves, you see, when you're talking about prosperity, that is what people want to listen to. But Milton Friedman knew how to put in other philosophies right in between it to make it more sensational, to make it more fun for the ears to hear. So these thinkers and others like them, we have Ludwig von Mises, we have Ayn Rand, we have Robert Nozick, and some of them, they believe that the idea that individuals should largely govern their own life with government limits only to preventing fraud and fraud is very, very important. And not just important, it makes up for a good life. So in short terms, both classical liberals and libertarians, there's only few things we want. More freedom, not less. We want to trust people to trade. We want to trust people to invest. And we want to trust people to innovate with limited or minimal interference from the bureaucrats. Now, that leads us to what the role of government is in a free market. What should be the role of government in a free market? Can someone tell us what they think the role of government should be in a free market? I need hands, please. What do you think the role of government should be in a free market? I've mentioned it a bit, but I want to hear your opinion about it. Please unmute yourself and talk. Go ahead, Mary.
I think with what you mentioned about one of the writers who said that the role of the government should just basically be protecting the rights of the people. And I think the government's role should be also making conditions possible enough for us as individuals to thrive in our day-to-day lives. I think that's what I got, and that's what I think is the role of government.
That's true. Okay. So at this, let us talk about the role of government. Thank you very much. You are right. But let's push it. Okay. D. Olela, please.
Thank you so much, Leon, for your presentation. As much as we always
I think Doris' network is not really functioning as it were.
so they
Doris,
can find and enforce how we act and how we go about our daily life.
We lost you at some point, but I think we got the gist, how we go about our daily lives and how we do things. But in view of our time, let's get to it. We're going to talk about 5 different things, what the role of government should be in the economy. The first one, but before we even go to the first one, there's a common question. And the question is, if markets should be free, what should government do? Please write that down. That will be one of the assignments. Ahmed, please note that. And Esther, that will be one of the assignments for today's class. If markets should be free, what should government do? Because there's always a misconception that the free market thinkers or the free market advocates, or as it were, the economists always shouts we don't want government. No. They admit that the government has important roles. And at the same time, it should not be just too many. For some of us who love football or who watches football, you need a referee. And in this case, in the economy, government is supposed to act as the referee. Have you ever seen a referee kick the ball on the field during playing? It's impossible. If the ball mistakenly retouched the referee, the game is stopped. And I don't know what they call that thing, they throw ball up, and the game continues. So that is what the government is supposed to be. But on the more serious note, let's talk about what they need to do. Tonight, we're going to be talking about 5 different things. And the first of them is protecting property and contract. The first role of government is to protect property and contract. Their job is to enforce law so that property rights mean something. If someone steals my machine or anything that belongs to me, or someone steps back from a business deal or the business contract that we've signed, it is the role of the government through the court to step in and protect my rights. With this, it builds trust. Not just building trust, it will allow other people to want to. I know my land is safe, I can start planting. I know my land is safe, I can start building properties and provide housing, cheap, affordable housing for people. Instead of just leaving my land barren, thinking, oh, the government might come tomorrow now and collect it. That is the first role of the government. Protect my property and protect the contract I've signed with someone. The number 2 is they should prevent and punish coercion. The job of the police under the government and the court is to stop theft, fraud, violence, and other means of force, unconsented force against me, all the citizens of the country. And this ensures markets are truly voluntary. No one is forced to trade at gunpoint or with impure goods. There is fair trade everywhere. The other one is to provide public goods. We can say, is every good not public good? Every good is public good. But in this term, public good refers to things like national defense, major highways, roads, and the likes. Currently, it's an acceptable rule that you don't use your military power inside your country. Your military is supposed to defend your borders so that external threats should not come in. Even as powerful as the United States is, they are currently using military to de-escalate situation inside the country. That's a story for another day. Infrastructures, a basic education, and sanitation is part of the role of the government. People will keep soiling the ground. They will keep putting their garbage around. It's just normal human nature. And that is why we pay tax to the government so that the government can take care of this. But look at your community and look at it very well. Let's think about it. Do you have infrastructures needed that you feel is needed? Not want, even needed. Do you have good basic education? And how clean is your sanitation process in your country, in your community, and all? When people drop their rubbish and their garbage on the road, is there a mechanism that punishes the offender? Because at that particular point in time, the person that dropped the rubbish on the public good, as it were, of the government is going against the standard rule of making the community better. What is the punishment for them? Even if they are being caught, do the officials not just collect bribe and let them go and stuff like that? Those are the things that needs to be looked upon. But that is what the government is supposed to do. And the fourth one is to maintain monetary and financial stability. That is why every country basically have a central bank, just to make sure the prices of things are stable. And sometimes inflation goes way beyond what they can control. I don't know if we have anybody from Zimbabwe. I think we have somebody from Zimbabwe here. For those that do not know the story of Zimbabwe, at some point in their life in the past, if they want to buy one bottle of, what is the drink that is common in Uganda? I'm getting to forget Uganda beer small. What is coming to my head is Kilimanjaro beer. Tell me one beer in Uganda, Joyce.
Nile.
Nile, thank you. Nile. If you want to buy Nile beer in Uganda, as it were, if you want to buy one beer in Zimbabwe before, you have to carry like a whole bag of money to buy one bottle of beer. Inflation really kills them completely. That was right after Gaddafi died. But now, at least, they are bouncing back gradually. In the free market advocacy, many of the free market or central bank assets they tend to tie their money in gold. When Donald Trump became the president of US, he did something funny. Mary Joyce, tell us. I can see that you have not. Yeah, you see, this is what is good when you have videos
The
on.
Bitcoin
I can see your reaction.
Yeah, I was talking about a Bitcoin reserve and then other altcoins.
He first of all jump into Bitcoin. That one. Then he said, Elon Musk, come. Let us go and check our gold reserve if the gold is actually there. Because gold does not depreciate. And inflation does not affect gold. It's a solid means of receiving your money. And that was what many countries who try as much as possible to practice free market, that is what they do. But Africans, even when we have the gold, they sell up most of the gold to foreign land because they want to exchange it for depth of money that they want to collect. And at the end of the day, we'll live with nothing. God save us. And the last one on the role of government is to limit cronyism. Government should avoid picking winners. We're talking about capitalism yesterday during the book review for JFL. And we talked a bit about crony capitalism. That is where we have business thrive through political connections, no competition. In a free market system, it is true competition. Your product has to be superior than the other person's product. Then with that, you will have what it takes to become successful. But under crony capitalism, the person successful is only getting successful because he has had hand into the government, and the government have given him everything it takes to supply all the things alone. Dangote is the current richest black man in the world. He has been on it for over a decade. Why? Maybe he has stopped doing it now, but before, only Dangote can import sugar to Nigeria. Only Dangote is importing cement. Only Dangote is importing fertilizer. Only Dangote is importing salt. There are like up to 7 different essential products that people consume every day was just Dangote for years. Tell me, if I were to be Dangote, wouldn't I be the richest black man in the world too? I will. But this is what the government is supposed not to do. Government is not supposed to create a monopoly. Government is supposed to avoid picking the winners. Leave your connection. Don't abuse the power of the state just to favor your inner circle. They should stop this corrupt deal and avoid overregulation that only allow the insiders have profit. So those are the 5 things that the role of government should be in society. The states should be small, but it is important we have them. As we talked about the referee in the first place, the referee government should not kick the ball. The ball is the market. Leave the ball to the players, the entrepreneurs in the market. Just make sure that you protect them, their property from fraud, from external force. Protect them from cronyism by not putting your hand on bringing your own player into the game so that you can rig the game, and protect their monetary and financial stability. That's basically it. What the role of the government should be, according to the 4 thinkers of the free market economy. Okay. Now, let's talk about one topic that I love so much. Ahmed, please help check who is not muted and mute the person, please. Okay, now let's talk about the morality of capitalism. I believe you all are currently reading the book, Morality of Capitalism. Am I right or am I wrong? Is it the book that you're currently reading? Okay, that's the book we are currently reading.
Sorry, Mr. Leon, allow me to interrupt you. I was raising my hand, you were not calling me, so I have to interrupt
Oh,
you.
sorry. I
Yeah,
didn't know.
yeah.
I didn't look.
So, when you mentioned something about what's it called again? About pricing, about voluntary exchange, I was going to add that it was exactly what we discussed in the book review yesterday that you came back to mention. So for those that joined the book review yesterday, they probably most likely have an idea of what you have just said. So that was what I was going to chip in. And yes, that is the book we are reading now.
Okay, great. So let's talk about morality of capitalism as you are reading the book continuously. So you're going to see one of those things. We're going to talk about briefly 6 morality of capitalism. But at first thing you're going to think a question that needs to come to our head is capitalism moral? What is moral about capitalism? I remember Mary Joyce asked the question during the JFLs yesterday. The rich getting richer, the poor getting poorer. And that is basically what the critics often claim. They said it encouraged greed, it encouraged inequality, it encouraged cruelty. But the free market advocates always counter that voluntary trade and respect for rights are basically inherently ethical. And there are 6 reasons why we are certain this. Number 1 criteria of morality of capitalism is the free voluntary benefit. In a free market, every trade is consensual. There is a consent. There is no me too, #me too in trade. As long as it's trade, it's consensual. If I sell you a loaf of bread, it's because you choose to buy the bread from me and I choose to sell it. Because we both know that I need it and you also need it. So, what is the unethical or the immorality in that? 2, capitalism respects rights. One of the economists, Amen Aklan, he says property rights are human rights. When a person controls what they create or earn, that security is the basis for responsibility and freedom. Because we all agree, it's a cultural thing, that stealing from someone is morally wrong. And free market also agrees that stealing from someone is wrong. So is capitalism. So tell me, what is the immoral part of capitalism? That's the second one. The third one is peaceful cooperation. Free market channels competitive urge people into production. It's because of the competitive nature. It urges people into production, not violence. Instead of people to start fighting for scarce good, what we do is basically trade what we have. And I think Uganda and Kenya should borrow a leaf. They should stop the milk war and just trade. You collect milk, give us tea. So that we put the milk and tea together and add our brown sugar to it. And we will drink. Everybody is happy. Peaceful cooperation. So, where is the morality in peaceful cooperation? The fourth one is innovation and prosperity. It is not a news that capitalist economy have created enormous wealth. And because of that, global extreme poverty has really, really gone down as free market and trade expands. Because of the free market and the trade, we have better technology, we have better healthcare, we have opportunities that have lifted billions The invention of AI that just come out, I know a lot of people that have made a whole lot from it. But still, many argues moral to punish the market system that raised living standards so drastically, which I agree. Because when the market is free, growth comes easily. Wealth is generated. And the social program for poorest people is already available for them. I was mentioning it in class for the JFL yesterday. In the 1800s, the standard average income of people in the UK, US, Singapore, and the likes, Venezuela, Switzerland, was $1 to $5. As at 2013, that Eman Butler wrote the Introduction to Capitalism, it was $90. As at today in the UK, it is £96 per day, average income of an average person working 8 hours a day. That's around about $125. It's growing up. But come back to Africa. How many Africans live over $5 a day? And that begs one question. What is the West doing that we are not doing in Africa? They went from 1 to 5 to 90, now to 125. They are growing. Africa has remained stagnant on less than $2 a day for how many decades now? A food for thought. And probably something you can actually work on for your capstone project. Another thing that we're going to talk about is the negative right, or we can call it non-interference. Libertarian emphasizes not harming others. If a business profits are made without force, libertarians argue that it is not only legal, but morally legitimate. I didn't come to you to come and eat you or come and carry gun and put you when I make my money. Why will you now say the way I make my money is not right? Doesn't make any logical sense. When Milton Friedman was even talking about it, he says, and I quote, "The social responsibility of business is to increase its profit," which means run your business well, don't waste any resources on rigid quota or pointless projects. And at the end of the day, you make your money. Even though the law and the community standard still requires you not to steal or not to defraud people. But you do your thing very well. You don't waste your resources on things that you're not supposed to waste your resources on. Obviously, what will happen afterwards? You are going to make money. Let's even come down to our current businessmen. I think it was Warren Buffett. I don't know who said the word directly right now. I skip my mind. That says, create a solution and money will follow. People are ready to buy. There is one person, two person that needs that idea in your head to help their life, and they're ready to pay for it. Create that solution. Then they will come and follow it. They will buy. The Free Market Fellowship was created because we know there is a demand for it. We've seen, okay, why are we the way we are? Because we don't have the information. And when someone has the information, what you do with it matters a lot. Is it going to die with you, or you have to spread it out? For us, we choose to spread it out. And that is why we come up with this. And you are here. And you are here not because you were forced to, but because you choose to learn, to also be aware of what we are aware of. And the last one is criticism of alternatives. In cases where the government controls the economy, like under a dictator, corruption and shortage often arose. Let's take example for Russia, take example of North Korea. Corruption is prevalent everywhere. Some even point out that policies meant to enforce equality have sometimes led to far more suffering than the inequality market produces. Please help us meet that person, Ahmed. Who is that? Thank you very much. Let's take, for example, there are some parts of Africa that have some socialist policy that have led to famine and hyperinflation. And it only enriched the elite rulers. Example of Congo. Example of South Sudan. They won't even led to war and all sorts of things. Example of Zimbabwe and the likes. But in contrast, there is one country, or let me say two countries in Africa that have embraced the market and things have changed for them. We're going to talk about them later on. It's Botswana and Mauritius. Those two countries have steadily achieved growth and they've reduced poverty drastically in their country. But what did they do? How do they do it? We will get to it when we start talking about the real life example of the free market. So, in summary of the morality of capitalism is rooted in choice and responsibility. So if someone tells you, okay, so what is really morality, capitalism morality? In a simple term, it's rooted in choice and responsibility. Telling you that when you do something, you should be ready for the consequence. Choice and responsibility. Because transactions are like agreement between friends. Both sides must agree. And if there is a disagreement, the other one goes to somewhere else. Not that the other friend will say, nah, la, la, you have to do what I have to do. You have to follow me and do this one. Capitalism is moral as long as it follows those 6 criteria. But as it were, following Joyce's question yesterday, for those that are not able to be on the call, critics have said that capitalism leads to greed or exploitation, but under markets, everyone competes to offer better goods or services. So let's talk a bit about the misconceptions about free market. Okay, we have about 30 more minutes before we open up for questions. Let's talk about common misconceptions about free market. Today, we are going to be talking about, let's pick 3 because of our time. I'm going to send the document I'm using for this. I'm going to send it to you guys after the class so that you can basically go through it and how will I put it? It can be used for you for your own assignment and the likes. The first myth of the free market, when we talk about free market to people, is they say free market means no rules or no government. I think we've been able to clear that from the discussion that we've been having, that no one is proposing anarchy. That will only mean anarchy. No government, no rule. No. We are not proposing anarchy because we believe the free market requires some basic laws. Laws against theft, against fraud, against violence, so that trade can be voluntary and safe. Businesses still pay taxes, and governments still enforce contracts. And that can only happen if there is a measure of rule. But now the question is, how far is too far? And the term free market only means free from unnecessary interference, not free from all order. I will take that again. The term free market means free from unnecessary interference, not from all order. The second myth is it's just crony capitalism in disguise. We've talked about crony capitalism, where politicians give special favors, subsidy, and monopoly rights to their friends. That is not the true nature of free market. It's basically opposite. Success in crony capitalism depends on connection, but in the free market, it depends on quality or price. That was where we talked about the telcos in Nigeria. Free markets strive for a level playing ground without any government handout. Crony capitalism requires a government handout for the successful person to get into it. Another myth is capitalism only benefits the rich, the poor gets poorer. That is Joyce's critique. While markets do reward skills and capital, they also create jobs, technology, and cheaper goods for everyone. And like I answered our question yesterday, if you think someone is getting rich, look at what the person is doing to get rich and start doing what the person did. Start doing it little by little, and see whether things are going to change for you too. So stop complaining. If the rich are getting richer, move yourself too from poor to getting richer. Don't think too big at the beginning. Okay, sorry. Think big, start small. That was the word. Think big, start small. Let me give you an instance. When we started Face of Liberty in 2020, no funding, no support, nothing from anywhere. But we started anyway. Today, we have some support. If you look at my background right now, Atlas Network offered us a 5,000 matching grant, and we've been pushing it for the past how many months now? We're supposed to raise 5,000. We've currently raised $3,000. And if we are able to raise the 5,000 completely by June 30th, they will give us an extra 5,000. That's $10,000 worth of project and operation that we can use in reaching more people across Africa to learn what needs to be learned. We started small. But now someone is saying, I will give you $5,000. Mary, how much is $5,000 in Uganda shillings? How many millions? Or is it up to billion?
Okay, we can start with $1,000 is 3 million, 3.6 million in Uganda shillings. So
3.6 million. 3.6 times 5.
yes.
That'll give us close to 18 million Uganda shillings.
Yes.
So someone says, I will give you 18 million. Are they ever going to give us 18 million if we never start? They won't. The people who are rich today, they didn't get to that point from the beginning. It took them time to get there. So stop complaining. Start doing. Africa is still very, very big loose where you can actually make it. In the Western world, as you started your project or your company or your activity, you start paying tax immediately. In Africa, you might not even pay tax for the first 2-3 years of your company running. And nobody's going to hold you responsible for it. In Nigeria currently, if you don't make up to 25 million, you are not required to pay tax. You are just basically if you're registered as an enterprise, not as a company, limited company, you're not liable to pay any tax until you make 25 million annually. And how many people make 25 million annually? Small scale business. They're not that much. So why not start? If you reach 25 million, they know that you are self-sufficient enough to now start giving back. But you stay in one corner and say, people are getting, is it only Dangote? Is it only Otedola? Is it only wherever it is across Africa? Then you will remain there forever. These are the myths that people put on it. The market, it has shown that it expands overall wealth. Even if you cannot make the work, people that make it will employ you and you get jobs. You get money to take care of your family, get money to buy your needs. Sometimes if you are lucky, you are getting enough pay, you get money to buy your wants and do everything you want to do. Life becomes easier. And when people pay their tax, a sane government, I'm not saying all African governments are sane, a sane government will be able to use the tax to help the needy and create public goods. So, in other words, free trade and some social program can complement each other. There are two more myths here, but you are going to have to get to that when I send the documents to you and you can say it. But can we talk about real life situations of the free market? Because economists who have measured and compared real world countries have found that no economy is perfectly free. None. But those that are more market-oriented, they have higher incomes and better living standards. And this can only suggest one thing: a practical approach. Not all or nothing is wise. This encourages markets where they work best and use targeted policy. When I mean targeted policy, we're talking about safety nets, talking about good education, talking about anti-monopoly law to undo problems without dismantling the market entirely. Today we are going to talk about Today we are going to talk about 5 real-world examples of market-based impact. The first one is in Botswana. In the early 1966 and upward, Botswana was one of the poorest nations on earth. Botswana was one of the poorest nations on earth. But instead of nationalizing their resources, their leaders follow market-friendly policies. They cut down their taxes, honored contracts, and saved their resources rather than wasting their mineral revenues. Let's keep that number 1. They kept taxes low. How many African countries keep taxes low today? They honored contracts. Instead of wasting the revenues from their minerals, embezzling it, they stopped wasting it on unnecessary things. And what is the result? Between 1966 and 1995, Botswana, they have the fastest growth rate in the world. Between 1966 and 1995, they had the fastest growth rate in the world. Today, Botswana enjoy political stability and higher income level. If you go and look at the freedom index of the world, Botswana is rated highest in economic freedom in Africa and the least corrupt. So number 1, the most free to do business, to live in, economic-wise in Africa, and the least corrupt is Botswana. And this is a country that comes from nothing. It's like this song, I come from nothing. Now I have many things and things like that. They have nothing, but they are now something. trusts to Zimbabwe, which took on socialist policy. They expropriate their farms. In the early 2000s, inflation wants to kill them. That's why they carry wheelbarrow to go and buy one bottle of Nile. Extreme poverty eats them hard. There was a joke at some point in Nigeria that if you have $200 and you get to Zimbabwe, they will make you king. Sometimes ago. That's how poor they are. Because most times we tend to joke with it with Naira. Any country that the Naira is bigger than their currency, like, okay, we are like kings. But when you carry Naira, sometimes they go to Zimbabwe, you are still a king. Just carry 300,000 Naira and go to Zimbabwe. I think the money, 300,000 Naira as at then, will give you close to 15 million Zimbabwe dollar. For 300,000 Naira, like, most of our friends like, guy, let's just go to Zimbabwe. We'll spend 1 month. We just stay in their 5-star hotel and the likes and the likes. But why? Simply because they took the wrong set of policies to pick with. Botswana, from nothing, became something. Zimbabwe, from something, became nothing. Now they're starting to come back. And now starting to come back from the poor. So one policy can scatter everything. And we've seen it in the case of Botswana and Zimbabwe. Now let's talk about Mauritius. Mauritius is in Indian Ocean. They have no big natural resources like every other thing. But their success is built on the free market economy. That was the report from World Bank. I don't know Mauritius existed until a few years ago when I have some of my friends traveling to Mauritius for school. I'm like, what is in Mauritius? I'm like, it's an island somewhere, and the life there is actually sweet, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. Then I was curious, checked up on it, and I'm like, those guys are actually making good things. Their government don't put mouth too much in things. They only serve as facilitators. Like Botswana, they kept their taxes low. They kept their trade open. Now, Botswana is rated as 13th country in the world in the ease of doing business index. Nigeria, my country, is currently at 79. And we used to call ourselves giant of Africa. But how can giants be on number 79 when a small island is on number 13? Botswana with a very small is on number 1. Look at it yourself. What is the number your country is in? And what can you pick from the ones that are making good use of what they have? Maybe that could be your capstone project. And who knows? Someone in your legislature or in your parliament might see your your policy brief and want to sponsor it in your parliament. And before you know it, what you proposed become a national thing. Nobody can tell. The next one is the AFCFTA. I'm certain a whole lot of us might have heard about the AFCFTA. This was signed into agreement in 2018. In 2021, many of the African Union countries, they agreed to drop most of their intra-African trades. And even World Economic Forum made it clear that this could supercharge agriculture on the continent. Not just agriculture, a lot of things might change. Let's say for removing the tariffs on our intra-African trade at first. According to the World Bank, it says we could see as much as 574% increase by 2030, if and only if this AFCFTA can be implemented now. I was traveling to Ghana recently, and it's supposed to take me like 7 hours by road to get to Accra, but it took me about 14 hours. Why? Because they wasted our time at the borders. Every borders we get to stamp our passport, you have to pay. And not just one person. You are paying like 4 different, 5, 6 different people to give you what you need. Arrant nonsense, if you ask me. But if you want to pass, you have to pay. And that is just me carrying my backpack. Now imagine someone carrying a trailer full load of goods. See, think of how long this is going to take or how much they have to pay. And that alone discourages a lot of people from even doing intra-African trade. The fourth one that we're going to talk about is in Kenya. The mobile money in Kenya, I think we talked about it yesterday for those that were on the call yesterday. M-Pesa. M-Pesa came in as a payment platform, blah, blah, blah. Before you know it, it became the bloodline for the unbanked people, someone who is selling pepper, someone who is selling, what is the name of this fish? Tilapia fish. As a matter of fact, I love Kenyan tilapia fish. I don't think Uganda have that one. And even down to Matatu, the borders, the guy riding bikes, the guy riding Danfo, or all the small buses, the mini buses, they take M-Pesa as their form of payment. This is an example of entrepreneurial innovation that is thriving in a relatively free environment. Yes, there's light regulation, and that eventually followed to ensure trust in the people. And the other one we're going to talk about are local entrepreneurs. You see, across Africa, numerous social success stories come from market freedom. For instance, informal microeconomic entrepreneurs like street hawkers, small farmers, artisans, they sustain millions of families from little till they are selling. And if they are not selling, they are going to cut from their farm and eat. Large example includes our tech hubs and our startups. There is iHub in Kenya. There is Jumia e-commerce. Started from Nigeria. I think Jumia is everywhere in Africa now. There's Andela. Andela is known for tech training. Andela started it. We have hundreds of them doing it across Africa now. That space is still not regulated. So it's easier. We have Andela, we have ALX. ALX has been doing it for a while. They started with free version. Now they've monetized it. You pay $5 a month for you to learn. But once you learn and finish your learning, you get your certificate, and certification is accessible, verifiable, and can get you jobs. Even the presence of Chinese and Indian entrepreneurs in Africa can only show us something. Our market is starting to attract investment and knowledge. But now the question is, how long will it be before this kind of people takes over our economy with our greedy politicians? So if you have a mind of going to government, please start tying your trouser, because we will need you to implement these policies. Just look, for example, Argentina recently. They elected their first free market-minded president. And for the first time in Argentina's history, they were out of debt, like completely out of debt. Why? Because he understood what needs to be done. The same thing in Burkina Faso. People may say he's a dictator, he's a this, he's a that. I don't consider him a dictator. I just consider him someone who says enough is enough. A young blood who understands the autonomy of the African market and is doing everything he can to make sure that nobody has anything to hold against them. The first thing he did, Traore did, was to pay everything that Burkina Faso owed so that they can be debt-free. When you don't have, they said he who pays the piper dictates the tune. If I don't owe you anything, you cannot hold anything on my head. So, in summary, whenever African economy have opened to trade and competition, we've seen improvement. Recently, there is an example of Rwanda. Rwanda came out from war. But now, even though they say the president of Rwanda is a dictator, Kagame, he opened the whole border of Rwanda to everybody that wants to come. As an African, if I want to go to Uganda, and all I just need to do is collect my ticket and I'm flying. Kenya did it halfway. You still have to collect ETA to enter Kenya. And the ETA is still $30. So to LA, it's still not completely free for us, but at least it's better. But Rwanda, completely out. And know how many infrastructure, how many investments, how many people have gone into Rwanda to set up things there. Why? Because of that freeness. It has been shown that when trade and competition exist and there is free hand, improvement happens and price falls. This evidence only suggests one thing: market with good rules always work. So as we are wrapping up, let us talk about few applications of the free market economy in Africa. In my own opinion, we have 7 more minutes before we open for questions. So let me see if I can run through this in 7 minutes. The first application of the free market principle that we need to talk about, now that we've learned about this, how do we use these ideas for our own challenge or challenges? Number 1 is our leaders can protect property rights. Someone like Mary Joyce, as a woman, does not have the right to own a land. Can the government work around and take out that cultural nonsense and allow her, as the feminine gender, to have a land and register the land and know that this land belongs to me? I can sell it, I can plant on it, I can make profit on it, I can invest it, I can do whatever I need to have on it, and I'm protected. Number 2, our leaders should work on ways to reduce barrier. Unnecessary tax, unnecessary trade barriers should be cut off. And that is what the AfCFTA is going to do, if fully implemented. Could make it easier for an Ethiopia shoemaker to sell to Kenyan and vice versa with no extra tax. It can allow Uganda and Kenya to exchange milk and tea without extra tax. The third one is encouragement of competition. Government should hand off the people, stop putting their friends in position of monopoly. Can we all get to the market and compete for the best product or services and see who the people want, who the people love? Allow the people in the private sector to compete with every other person and see. And this will not only help the government, it will even ease the life of people. Because when there is competition, there is better service, there is better product, there is better good, everybody is happy, and price always drops. The third one is to build infrastructure without crowding out the private sector. There is one thing that some African countries are enjoying: reliable electricity. At least in Uganda, it's better. You guys have electricity. In Ghana, it's better. In Nigeria, it's worse. Right now, I control my own electricity in Nigeria. Right now, there is no power in my house. I have to set up my electricity. Yes. I have a solar power setup for me to have a 24-hour supply, because my work demands that I am online 24/7. And if my light goes off, my system is not charged, my phone is not charged, how can I be online? Okay, Ahmed wants to give us his experience in Ghana recently. Ahmed, please go ahead.
Not my experience in Ghana. Permission to defend Nigeria.
Oh, you
I
want to
have
talk about
lights.
band A?
I
You want
have
to talk about
lights in
band
my
A?
house now.
Is it
So,
24
Mr.
hours?
Leon, I don't know the part of Nigeria
Is
you're
it 20?
living in.
Is it 24 hours?
Yes, now my light is 24 hours now. I'm
Your light
serious.
does not go at all.
No, Kat, it goes off sometimes, but it's very predictable when it would go off and when it comes back on. Even when it goes off, I know that they will bring it back on in the next like 30 minutes or an hour. So I don't know the part of
Do they
Nigeria
inform you? Do they inform you
They don't
that your
inform me,
light goes off?
but when I was in Ghana recently and I experienced power outage, and they didn't inform us before the power went out. So
No, maybe you didn't check. Maybe you didn't check.
It's not about checking. I
can defend Ahmed. I can defend Ghana.
Mr.
I
Leon.
can defend Ghana and I can defend Uganda.
Okay.
If their light will go off, this is a thing that have happened to me while I'm there. If their light will go off, there must be a broadcast. Maybe you don't see it or not. There's always a broadcast.
Maybe
Nigeria is getting better.
It's getting better.
I cannot lie about it.
Well, let's not come
but right now, I don't have light in my house.
But I do have light. Let me on my video so that you can see me. I have light. I have light in my house.
Okay, great. Okay, let me put it this way. Because Ahmed has challenged me to get it in the right direction. Maybe I'm too generalizing it. In Nigeria, there is band A, band B, band C, band D. Joyce, please open your camera. Do you have that kind of segregation in your country? So some band A always have light, band B have lesser light, band C have then band D. As it goes up, the light you have drops down. Do you have like something like that in Uganda?
No.
Thank you very much. That is exactly what I'm talking about. Some people have access to power 24/7, or like you said, with 10-30 minutes downtime throughout the day. And some people...
No. I think in Uganda, in around Kampala, you don't really experience power outage because I think people need it more. But in other places that are remote, you will find them getting power outages. So I think it applies.
It applies to you too.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Great.
But my power doesn't go off.
Because
do you live in Kampala?
Yes.
Oh. I was going to say something like also in most
but I think we are all the same. We have almost the same issues. Even when in Uganda we have two dams.
In other areas that are rural, the light goes off and on. So even I was speaking to someone in Ghana too about it, and they say,
you see,
for places like Accra, Kumasi, and all of those major cities and towns, the lights are stable. But in all of these villages or places where there are not so much people there, or places where foreigners do not go very well, or where there are no industries or companies, the lights goes off sometimes. So
he has light, but it does not have
it is getting better. We thank God. Nobody's supposed to go without power outage. With this viewpoint of mine, I hope I've been able to convince you and not confuse you that some areas in Nigeria are good.
Okay. Thank you very much for trying to convince us. But let's talk about the Western world. I think we need to dwell a bit about on this electricity. Look at the Western world. Even the most rural part of the United Kingdom have steady supply of light. What do they have that we don't have? What is the band system? I don't really understand what the meaning of the band system is. Are you saying that those that does not live in the central area of the community, that is extremely expensive to live in, does not have the right to have the same basic amenities that every other person needs? Insanity to me. And this is one of the things that our government, our leaders need to invest in. Reliable system electricity should not be for just one set of individuals. That is basically what leads to crony capitalism. Why are you making it that only few people that have the money that can maybe support you? There's one politician living in this environment. There's another set of guys living in this place, and you're giving them all you have, while you neglect other people that lives in the rural sector of the economy. That is cronyism in disguise. And that is one of the things that it needs to get out of the way. Number 5 is investment in education and tech. Free market rewards skilled workers. We've seen that in play. African economy should invest in education and internet access to help people compete globally. The only reason why we have internet in Africa, I can categorically tell you, is because it is being controlled by private entity. If it's government, they go suffer. But what if the government can do something about it? Health insurance in Nigeria, the country that I live in, is from the government is nonsense. The only business of people that are doing insurance currently that is working are from the private entity. Why can't our government involve in change the curriculum of education? We had a discussion sometimes ago about the our education system, and I was telling the speaker, in China we have workshop where children of 5 years, 6 years learn how to assemble mobile phone, how to assemble TV. At age 5 or 6 in Africa, 3, 4, 5, 6 in Africa, our children, what they learn in school is bo, ko, do, or ABC is the A is for goat, C is for dog. That's all they learn. Because that is what the government has put in the system for them to learn. I can see your teeth, Masudi, because that is basically what they teach them. It's wrong. It is wrong. Can we invest in education and give a better curriculum? Invest in tech. Okay, in Nigeria right now, for someone to send money to you and you don't want to go through wire transfer, it's a problem. Money can come in, but if I want to send money to you in Uganda, Mary, I will have to pay with my nose. Why? When we have boys that can create very massive tech space that can get things done. I wanted to collect money from outside the country. I could not, even with all the gateways that we have, it wasn't accepting. I have to go and activate Stripe accounts to get money from here. And the Stripe does not even work in my currency. I have to get a Stripe UK so that I can get money for the matching grants. For someone who would want, anybody that wants to donate from outside the continent. They've done this thing. We've used it before. But now governments came and clamped down on it with their policy. Can we free the hand of the people that are trying to make Africa better? These are the things that they need to do. And also, we should watch out for cronyism. That is Ahmed in disguise. That's saying band A, band B, band C is having 24-hour light, where all of us are having maybe 5 hours, maybe 6 hours light in a day. We should watch out for people like Ahmed that want to promote cronyism and his people. So we want to try as much as possible to make sure that our officers award contract fairly and uphold the law. Investors and entrepreneurs have confidence when that happens. And apart from that, that means we need to fight nepotism. Because if contracts for road or utility always go to the insider, private initiative will be discouraged. The Nigerian government recently, not recently like that, I think in 2013 said they sold our power sector. But the power sector that they sold, guess what, was sold to people in their caliber. politicians, businessmen that are in Naira circle are still the set of people that bought the distribution zones. So what goes anywhere? There's no any outside person. It's just basically them revolving, regurgitating things. So let us remember that culture and custom matters. Many African societies have communal traditions, but free market policies can be framed in those terms. We've seen it happen. So a friend, one of our guys will always say, free market does not come from, it's not an alien word, it's an African word. But it's just that we are calling it something else. Trade by barter, do we all remember? Trade by barter is, I have something, you have something, we exchange, we are both happy. That is basically free markets and capitalism. So it's not a new word to us. We've known it very far time. But the Western people came in, they colonized us and took away that what we know and give us what we don't know. It's time to trace back to our roots. There's a popular adage in where I come from. It said, a river that forgets its roots always dry up. Or the source, sorry. A river that forgets its source always dries up. We should return back to the source. Remember, learn. And we should understand that working together voluntarily is just another form of community spirit. And that can really help us. So, over the last 2 hours, we've covered a lot. From the basics of voluntary exchange and property rights, to thinkers who champion freedom, to real African examples like Botswana, Mauritius, and our own market. The key message here is balance. Freedom, but with rules. Freedom, but with rules. We should allow markets to coordinate the multitude of daily decisions, which means growing food to grow, what phone plan to buy, who to talk to, where to buy it in. And the government should ensure that these trades are fair and everyone's rights are respected. So as we move forward, this is the first class of the training. We still have like 5 classes to go. Think about these principles and how they apply to your life, because the beauty part of this learning is to bring it back to our daily activities, our community. How does it apply to us? Whether you are a student planning a business, whether you're an entrepreneur seeking investment, or probably a policymaker crafting legislation, maybe a lawyer trying to defend people in court, or simply a consumer, a customer wants to buy something in the market. We should understand something and understand it clear. The free market economy is not just a theory, it's the rhythm of market and also boardrooms across Africa. So if a policy or idea reduces choices or punishes success, ask yourself, is this voluntary exchange or coercion? I'll take that again. If a policy or idea reduces choices or punishes success, ask yourself, is this voluntary exchange or coercion? But if it increases transparency, property security, or competition, then we can be certain that it's moving us closer to the prosperity that Adam Smith's invisible hand can only deliver. So at this point, I'm going to drop my microphone, not literally. Let's keep the conversation open. If you have any question, I will take it now. And let's continue learning from each other. Just like a market where we exchange idea is the first step to a better deal for all, let us also make this space, our WhatsApp group, a place where it is open, where we can ask questions. No question is wrong. No question is right. It's just question. Ask a question. Say your truth. And before you know it, there's always answer somewhere, somehow. So thank you very much for listening. We'll take questions. Mary.
Yes, I think let me first give my comment, then I'll give my question later.
That works.
First of all, I want to appreciate Face of Liberty for accepting us to be part of this insightful fellowship. Personally, I joined because I was conflicted. That's why I asked that question yesterday. As a women's rights activist, as a feminist, how can I be able to use capitalism or free markets to my own good, but also help other women? So I had to understand what I want to front and what I think would be good for all the women and then for the country or for the continent at large. So I really, really appreciate you and everyone for coming up with this. And from my what I will conclude with and what I'm going to leave this place with is that capitalism or free market is just, because sometimes we think it promotes inequality, but I think it provides equality of opportunity. Like you give me the chance to also have the same chance as somebody else to have access to those opportunities, have access to the property, have access to everything that I can use to develop myself. So to me, it's better than equality of outcome. And I think it doesn't promote inequality like I thought. I think it is just. So my question would be, because you talked about having the right policies, that the government should protect our rights, but also put the right policies in place to, what was it? To not create monopoly, but also to stop, financial stability, then maintain monetary stability, to control inflation, something like that. And then it came to, when you talked about Zimbabwe, and I usually hear people talking about money value. In Kenya, Kenyans usually tell us that our money has no value. They usually say they can buy many things with their money, but then, and sometimes they say when they exchange their money to ours, they get a lot of money. And usually I ask myself, what is money value? What is really money value from the economic point of view? And what does it look like to have money value? Yes.
Okay, if I get your question correctly, what you're asking is, what is money value? In a simple term, it is called the purchasing power of the money. How much can you buy with the amount of money you have with you? Let me give you, I think we had a class on, okay, not with the fellows. It's another place entirely. We're talking about, it was a financial literacy class, and we're talking about the purchasing power of money and the effect on human psychology. Let me give you an instance of myself. I was recently in the UK and I wanted to buy a perfume. Please, give me a moment. I want us to see the relevance of, so this perfume is Calvin Klein. It's sold for £19 in the UK. If I want to buy this in Nigeria and they call it for me, £19 in the UK is basically like 40,000 Naira. If they call it for 40,000 for me in Nigeria, trust me, I might not buy it. But because it is called 19, it looks small to me until I convert. This microphone I'm using is sold for 199 pounds. If you convert 199 pounds to Nigeria, that's about 400,000 naira, of if not more. In Nigeria, I would not buy it. I won't. Do I need it? Yes. But will I buy it? Because the purchasing power of the Naira in my head is telling me that I'm wasting money. But remember, it is the same price. So the value of money is the purchasing power of your currency. What can you buy with 360 Uganda shillings? What can I buy with 245 Tanzania shillings? And what can I buy with 12,500 Kenya shillings? The three numbers I just talked about is equivalent to $100. $100 in Uganda is 360,000. Abi? In Tanzania is 245,000. But in Kenya is 12,500. So it means what they are selling for 5,000 shillings in Kenya, the same product in Uganda might be sold for 75,000 Uganda shillings. So the purchasing power of your money, you pay more for the same product. It's the same thing I said about the road. It's 199 in the UK, it's close to 500,000 in Nigeria. So your purchasing power is the value of your money. And that is how inflation is being measured. I hope that answers your question. Okay, do we have any other person that have a question before we call it a night?
All right. Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Leon. While we are waiting for questions, please keep raising your hand if you have any questions. I just want to quickly share with us what our assignment is going to be and what hopefully we must have learned at the end of this session. Please give me 1 minute, everyone. Okay, so all right, from the learning outcomes that we hoped that you would have achieved at the end of this session is that firstly, you'd have been able to define what free market principles are and explain certain key concepts of the free market, such as price signals, property right, and voluntary exchange. You'd be able to tell what classical liberal thing. You'll be able to discuss what classical liberal thinkers are. Differentiate between free market, crony capitalism, and state control. You should be able to explain the moral foundation of capitalism and uh, foundations of capitalism, and you should be able to apply these concepts to the real world policy or economic issues. So hopefully we have learned all of that, and if we have not learned and we have any questions regarding any of the things that have been outlined, you can always reach out to myself, Mr. Leon, send your message on the group. Let's spark interesting conversation on the WhatsApp group. Also, for our assignment, it is expected that we submit the assignment before our next class next week, Friday. And even though you don't have to take notes, as Meshwa is going to be sharing the assignment on the group, so we are expected to write a short essay. I was going to limit it to a number of words before, but we're not going to be limiting it to the number of words that you can write. You just write as the spirit leads you. So you're going to define what free market is in your own words. You're going to compare what free market is with a government-controlled market using real-world examples from your country or maybe from any other country in Africa. And you can choose one of the free market principles that you currently know. From what Mr. Leon has earlier explained, some of the free market principles, and explain to us how it works. and how this relates to you personally in your day-to-day life. So that's what our assignment is going to be. And hopefully I look forward to hearing from you guys, reading very interesting piece from each and every one of you. I'm sure this is going to be a very interesting one because I've been enjoying the back and forth, the very interactive session so far. So I think I would pass on the mic to Mr. Leon now so he can answer all of your questions and we can call it a day. Thank you very much, everyone.
Right. Thank you very much, Ahmed. Let's take Adebayo Aziz first, then we go to Gift.
Good afternoon. I don't know, can you hear me?
Loud and clear. It should have been nice if you can see your
Okay.
face too.
I'm on the road.
Okay, please go ahead, by all means.
Okay. Good afternoon. Thanks for that impactful session. Like I was able to like pick one or two things, but what's really my own concern now is if we say free market is where people or businesses buy and sell freely without much control from the government. So are we saying that government should not be involved in the control of price of essential goods like fuel or food?
All
That
right.
is one. And also,
Okay.
can corruption be totally controlled in a free market system? Because I believe that there's no absolute freedom. Like there's still a need for government to like be involved in one way or the other. So that's just by the way, sir.
Okay. I know the reason why you asked this question is because you came late a bit. I saw when you entered. Because this is like the very first thing that we discussed. We never, ever prayed that we don't have government at all. And that is why we talked about the role of government. The role of government is simple. Protect me from external fraud, protect my business, protect me from any external forces whatsoever, and make sure you don't put too much mouth in what I need to do. Shikeno, that's all. There must still be rules in place. But the rules does not lead to where government now starts setting prices. I believe you live in Nigeria. Your name give the vibe that you live in Nigeria or you are a Nigerian. I will ask you a question and I hope you can answer me honestly. In Nigeria currently, Adebayo, who controls the price of fuel, petrol, fuel, whatever they call it? Adebayo, can you hear me? Who controls the price of fuel right now in Nigeria?
I can't really say. Will I say it's government or will I say it's the marketer? Because there's no fixed price.
There is. Oh, there is.
Because you can go to NAPC or go to other ones. The way it is, it's not as if if you go to Lekki, it will be another price. Go to mainland, it's another price.
Great.
So I can't really say that whether it's government or something.
Okay. Now let me open your eyes to this. Currently, the person controlling the price is Dangote Refinery. Because that is where they get all their products, at least 50 to 60% of the product. So if Dangote sells at the higher price tomorrow, you will see that the price of petrol will go up. Sometimes last 3 weeks, 4 weeks, we're buying from NMPC at the rate of 880 in Lagos. Now we are currently buying at the rate of 870. That was because Dangote dropped his price. And Mobile is currently saying at 875. If Dangote increases it tomorrow, the price goes up again because that is the source of half or more than half of what the petrol that we are using currently. So we are not saying government should go out totally, but what we are saying is allow private entities to succeed. Because when there is no central planner, no central control, it does not only benefit the government, it benefits the public. Because then we would have more people getting into the business. Two, when more people get into the business, it will bring up competition. And when competition gets to the market, price falls, and we have better service and better goods. So government give open hand for private entities to work so that we can have better price, better products, and competition in the market. But make sure you now help us in protecting this private entity getting into the business so that they can live and gain their profit and not someone coming to take their profit away from them. If you recollect during Dangote refinery finishing, and it's time for him to start producing, do you remember the NNPC Dangote subtle war about we are not selling for you in Naira, we are selling for you in dollar, because they know that once it starts producing, there's problem for them. Their monopoly goes off the window. And exactly what they are afraid of is currently what is happening. They don't want any other person to control what the market says. And that is why they don't want Dangote to succeed. But because government comes in, now government come in, I have prepared this multi-billion-dollar refinery. It's time for it to get into work, but NMC said they are not selling fuel for me. What do we do about it? What the government of Nigeria did at that point of the time, that they don't have the right not to sell to Dangote in local currency, that is an example of what we want the government to do in the market. It does not now concern them how much Dangote wants to sell his product, because it is his product. But can you make sure you save him so that no one or no entity try as much as possible to coerce him or to force him to do something that he does not want to do? And that's what the federal government of Nigeria did. And before you know it, give it the next 1-2 years, you will see another set of refineries springing up in Nigeria. If it continues the way it is right now, our fuel situation will soon be like our telecom situation in Nigeria. Just give it a watch. Because there are so many people that are as rich as Dangote in Nigeria that we don't even know on paper. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, that is 1. 2. The second one, like, can we say it allows?
Okay, the corruption, right?
Yes.
Okay, so corruption can never end, but it can be minimized. And like we rightly said during the program, during the discussion, there is no perfect economy. There is no perfect market. And people are inherently selfish. As long as people are inherently selfish, there will be corruption. But what will reduce corruption is when the government puts a means in place that when you do this, you enter this problem. Remember, the free market is about choice and responsibility. I don't know whether you are in when I mentioned that. It's about choices. Know fully well that once you make a choice, there is also equal reaction of consequence, responsibility to those actions. So if you are corrupt, and you know that when you catch you, there is punishment in place for you, some sane people will not get into that corruption. Do you think we don't face corruption every day? I'm certain you yourself, Adebayo, you face kind of corrupted situation every day. But do you always succumb to get into that corruption practice? That is the question I can't answer for you. You will be the only one to answer that by yourself. So, can it end? No. But can we put in measures to make sure that people know and enforce? That's the word. And enforce those consequences when you are found corrupt. That is another question. But it's ending. My answer, as of today, as of this time, 6:17 p.m., 8:17 Eastern Time, and 7:17 Central African Time, is it cannot end. But we can scare people off with the consequences.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Gift, do you still have your question, or we call it a
Yes, yes. I have my question. I hope you are fine this evening. Oh, okay. I want to understand the relationship between money value and the concepts or the principles of free market economy. Being that you find there is a time that I exchanged Kenyan shillings, 3,000 Kenya shillings to Tanzanian Kenyan shillings. That was roughly about 30,000 Tanzanian shillings. I had plenty of beer and I felt good that. So I wanted to understand whether do you think in future we'll have to deal with the removal of boundaries, since I don't think whether the government will allow that I can trade easily in Tanzania, since the things are cheap and my money value in Kenya is a little bit higher than the one in Tanzania. So please explain.
If I get your question correctly, what you're saying is the money value with free market. Will we ever get to a point where we can eliminate the stupid border that was created to divide us, so that we can have a single currency?
Yes.
Okay. That is part of what it is proposed in the AFCFTA agreement. If fully implemented, we have a chance. But one thing is this: if fully implemented, it will mean that at the beginning, a whole lot of African countries are going to lose some money. So are they going to be willing to lose money to implement that? Knowing fully well that they only have 4 years or 8 years to spend in office. And when they lose that money, they might not see money to accumulate and pack into their purse before they leave the government. So they might wait for say, we are not going to do it. We'll wait for the next government to do it. The next government will say, we are going to wait for the next government to do it. Do you know that there is a passport for selected individual in Africa that does not need them to get any visa for any country? Do you know?
I don't know.
Yes, there is. And people are using it. Some selected people are using it. All they need to do is buy tickets and travel. That is part of the provision of the AFCFTA. Part of the provision of the AFCFTA is for us to use just one currency. Just one currency across Africa. Okay. In the UK, if you buy a SIM card, you can use it in the whole of Europe. The whole of Europe, a SIM card. You don't need to change. I have Benin Republic right in front of me here. It's only 4 hours for me to get out of in my house to the border is 4 hours. To Ahmed, it's like 3 hours or 2 hours to get out of Nigeria. But guess what? Immediately you step out of the boundary, bam, you will lose Nigeria network. And it will tell you, welcome to Benin Republic. Do you want to roam? And when you roam, same day. I know, because I've gone from Tanzania to Uganda to Kenya on a single trip before, and I know I had to buy SIM in the 3 countries. Why? They're proposing a single currency, single network, lower tariffs at our borders, free entrance of people and property and goods. Those are all in the provision of the AFCFTA. But, my brother, they said democracy and change is a game of number. Let me ask you, this is not putting you on spot. Have you ever heard of the AFCFTA agreement before?
Not yet. I'm trying to understand it.
Exactly. You see where the problem is. The provision is there. The policy is there. But even you, who might become a politician tomorrow, you see, Mary, this guy is not in his head. He's a politician. Who might become a politician tomorrow does not even know the agreement that is going to change how we know Africa. And it's not just you. Trust me. I don't know about the AFCFTA too until 2020. I knew it in 2020. It was signed in 2018. Even me that I'm in the field does not know anything about it till 2020. Not to talk of you, that you are not even in the field at all. And that is one of the reasons why we set up the fellowship.
Yeah.
The provision is available, but people don't know. How do you clamor for a change that you do not know exists?
You can't.
You can't. So, my brother, your job, my job, is to make sure that your question is basically on the AFCFTA. If you want it, you can send me a DM, or I will ask Esther to send the document. The AFCFTA document is a 78-page document that have different provision in it. I'm gonna ask Esther to send it to the group. Esther, please note. Let's send that to the group. Read it, and you will see the beautiful words penned down in that agreement. Only if and only if it can be fully implemented, then Africa will even be better than all the Western world combined. Does it have some clauses that we don't appreciate? Yes. But even the ones that are good inside of it can be implemented in the next 1-2 years. Life will be easier. So we just hope and pray that our leaders will want to take the little pressure or little pain for us to get to where we are going to. That's the prayer.
Not.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, man.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other person that have a question before we call it a day tonight? All right. That being said, if there is no other question, thank you so very much, everyone, for being here with us tonight. I would have loved for us to grab a picture, like a video saying good night, but all of us, our, what's it called, is off. Please, if you can turn on your video, I just want to take a quick video to show the world that we are here. Oh, nice. If you can turn on your video, Doris, can you turn on your video? Yeah. Oh, see beautiful faces. And you're hiding. Hi, Doris. I don't know what is happening to your network. We've not been able to hear you well. All right. So if possible, you can just wave. That's all we need. So that we can show people that we are here. All right, guys. Thank you very much. We'll see you on the next time. Ahmed, over to you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Leon, and thank you everyone for joining. If you joined us late, you can watch this. This is directly being live streamed to YouTube. You can go on our YouTube page to watch it, and Mesha is going to send the link on the group again, so you can watch it on our YouTube page. Also, for all of your everyone, if you know someone that is supposed to be here that is not here, you can also advise them, and we are also going to advise you on the group as well. So watch it. Assignment submission is supposed to be before Friday next week. Please, between now and Friday next week is ample enough time for us to do submission. Submission is via email. Esther is going to send you the email that which you're going to submit the assignment as well. Thank you everyone for joining. Today we used over 30 minutes, 30 minutes extra. Next week we're going to ensure that we use the exact time that we have scheduled out to use. So thank you everyone for joining, and do enjoy the rest of your day. Good night.
Thank you very much. Good night.